I have already logged into my EC2 dashboard, and we are going to see how to start our own first launch auto scaling configurations. So first step is click on your launch configuration. Remember, launch configuration is a prerequisite for starting your auto scaling. So when you click on launch configurations, automatically it goes ahead, and where are we? Are we in the right track? Yep. It says create your scaling group. So in your scaling group, remember, we are going to input our minimum max desired information. So click on that one, and it is asking you, do you want to create launch configuration? Yes, I'm going to create a launch configuration first. Instance types, SSH keys, and all those things we are going to select, and it is asking me what type of AMI that I want to choose right now. I am in the launch configuration page. The big blue button that you see on the screen, if you click on that, it takes you to the next page where it gives you the choice of multiple AMIs. As usual, we are going to use the Red Hat Linux instance. Click on select, and then it is asking me what are the type of instances. So let us choose the T2 micro itself for our learning experience. In production or real time, you choose the appropriate one. So go ahead and click on next, configure details. And then here, let us create a name for our launch configuration. Let us say Galaxy. Looks like I forgot the spelling of Galaxy. Galaxy ASG auto scaling demo. Let me copy that. I might have to use that. And let me launch it with the role. Remember, yesterday we created this role, EC2 full access to S3 Galaxy EC2 demo. This role has access to my S3 buckets, and I should be able to read some configuration from the S3 buckets. So I'm going to click on advanced details here because this is going to get a little bit interesting. I'm going to try it myself once more. And I don't want to enable detail monitoring. Keep the kernel ID. I don't have any customized kernel in my machine images, so leave it as default. And again, I don't want any customized RAM that is customized for the kernel, so keep it as default. Whereas when it comes to user, I'm going to launch a web server like yesterday, hash bin bash, and then this is being an Linux, Red Hat Linux. This should work. So httpd systemctl enable httpd, and I'm going to try if S3 will work here by default in the booting configuration itself. I'm just going to try it along with you guys. There is an S3 command which will sync two folders, so we are going to use that to copy some data from my S3 bucket. I'm going to quickly go over to my S3 bucket to find the bucket name. I actually forgot the bucket name, so let's go ahead and pick it up from there. Meanwhile, I know the destination where it needs to be copied. So the command is sync source and destination. So that is what we are going to do here. /var share www/html, and I want it to sync in this destination. And I just set up a simple website, or what you call it as content yesterday. So I'm going to copy all the content from the source and destination. So I'm just going to try that here. Okay, so from this bucket, copy everything what is underneath that bucket and put it here. That's what we are going to say. Let us see if this works while in the boot itself. If not, this part will definitely work. We know that is the above three commands will definitely work. If this also works, we should be able to see a different image other than the default one. So let us add as it is, assign a public IP address, leave it as it is, click here to go and add storage. Let us leave it as defaults. We don't want to add any storage, additional storage. Here is where you usually add your data volumes or state management volumes. But let us not do that right now. Let us go ahead and click on configure security groups, and I don't have any specific extraordinary configuration. It is just needs port 22 and port 80. So I'm going to use an existing security group which allows port 22 and port 80 because we are going to run a web server, and in case if we need to troubleshoot something, we have needed port 22. but in production, you most probably would not do this. So do that appropriately for your IP address. Click on review. So your launch configuration is ready. Next is auto scaling group. So it reviews all those things. Say for example, your user data is hashed, that is 64-bit base 64 encoded. That is, in other words, it is easy to be transported to all the instances, and the summary of everything is listed here, your storage, your security, and all those things. So all that we have to do is click on create configuration next, and it's asking me my keypad. Click on the keypad that we already have, click on create configuration. So automatically it comes to the next step. Remember, we did a launch configuration first, that is a prerequisite, the number of type of instances, the machine, and all those things. When it comes to auto scaling group, we are going to say the min and max and all those things. So I copied this, and then I'm just going to put auto scaling demo itself here as well, and then start with, I'm going to say 2 instances. And I'm going to say which all the subnets. I'm going to choose both the subnets. So this is how you distribute between multiple availability zones. Remember, in Mumbai only we have 2 availability zones, so it gives me only the option of 2 subnets. If you are in Virginia or some other region where there are multiple availability zones, you can choose all the subnets created under those availability zones. So click on advanced details. This is where your load balancing happens. If you have a load balancer, you can enable that. We will see that when you look at the load balancer classes. As of now, leave it as it is. You don't have to touch anything here at all. Just leave it as defaults and click on configure scaling policies. So we are going to the final bit of configuration next. So when you come to scaling policies, Amazon gives you an offer. Keep it at the initial size. Remember, we are going to start 2 instances. It is saying, do you want to keep it at its initial size? If you choose this, only the 2 will stay constantly all the time. And if something goes wrong with the 2, it will maintain only those 2. It will start another one, or it will not increase beyond the 2 and all those things. But if you click on this one, you get a lot of configuration. Say for example, scale between 2 and 4. So my instances can go between 2 and 4. And what is my scaling policy here? Oh, great. I'm going to wait a second. I'm going to use this option. That is when you get the small twisty option here, right? If you click on that, then only you will get the increase group size and decrease group size, both options. So when I say increase group size, nothing but I'm scaling out. So in other words, when I want to increase my scale out, I'm going to take action when my create an alarm. We need an alarm so that we can monitor the CPU. So we don't have an alarm configuration. So send configuration to, this is my different email addresses I've just configured for monitoring. I'm going to say when the average CPU of my server is going to greater than or equal to 80%, notify me. And if it is going to be greater than or equal to for 80% for consecutively 5 minutes, then notify me. This is the name of my alarm. So that is the alarm I am creating. And you just click on create alarm, and then so execute. When you come back, automatically that alarm name is configured here. It's, you see here, breaches alarm hold when CPU is greater than or 80%. A notification will be sent to me in email, and it will be sent to the auto scaling group also. So you say take action, add 1 instance when my instance is 80% CPU. So that is as simple as that. You just don't have to change it. That is warm up in the sense it will wait for 300 seconds before adding another instance. How much time you want to wait if you want additional instances. So when it comes to decreased scaling group, again we don't have an alarm here. So click on alarm, that is add new alarm that you see here. You click on that, it will again ask you what is the configuration that you want. Instead of greater than, I'm going to say if it is lesser than or equal to 30% of a CPU, and then for a period of 5 minutes consecutively, then send me an email and also send an auto scaling notification event. So click on, you see here automatically it changes to 30%. If I just change it to say for example 25, you can see the number here on the right hand side as well change. So that is how it works. Click on create alarm. Automatically an alarm will be created and it will be tagged to my scaling policy. It is tagged here and I'm going to say remove one instance when your CPU is lesser than 25% for consecutively 300 seconds or 5 minutes. So that's it. You just go ahead and click on configure notifications. So whom you want to notify and add a notification. I already have set it up an EC2 monitor, that is another email address. It will say, receive an email when any of these things happen. And not a problem, we can add any of your email addresses also when there is a launch, when there is a terminate, when there is a fail, when there is a fail to launch and all those things. So click on configuring tags, next step. So let me see if I have copied it. Home, I think I have not copied it properly, but anyway, Galaxy AS demo, that should do good. And click on review. And you get the summary of all the things, the minimum size, that is the desired size, minimum and then maximum. And then you have the grace period, how much time you want to wait. And then when you want to, this is your scaling policy. Increase with this one, decrease with this one. And then you have the tags and notifications, say for example when launch, terminate, fail to launch, and all those things, send an email. So create an auto scaling group. Click on this button and Amazon starts the big process of starting spinning up those two servers, trying to set up the instance role, trying to set up the configurations and all those things. Let us click on close here. We can go ahead and check the logs in the main dashboard itself. So I have opened one more tab here. It's not nothing magic here, just one more tab so that we can go to our EC2 instances page and then see as of now there is nothing here, empty. I'm going to hit refresh and see anything is happening now. So you can see here there are two instances that are being spun up as we speak because we set in our auto scaling. There are two servers that are required and then two servers are starting and they are still in initializing stage. And we also have a public IP address. Let me just copy this and keep it ready and put it in your window as well. This is one public IP address. It is going here. And let me just copy the other public IP address. It might take a bit of time because as you can see it is just now initializing. It might not be ready. We need to give some time for the systems to work and do the copy and configurations. So meanwhile we'll just go ahead and go to our auto scaling dashboard and see what are the things that is important here. So you can see here when I go to the auto scaling, that is on the left hand side, that you see auto scaling here and then auto scaling group. I just made a typo here. Let me see if I can correct it. No, it is not allowing me to correct the name. Probably it will allow me to correct the tags here, but not the name of the group. Anyway, you just next time be careful when you're configuring the name and set it up properly. So it's a nice little summary of all the things that we have done here. You have the entire details, basic details, and activity histories. What are the events that has happened so far? We launched 2 instances and it is coming up successfully. That is, launching of the instances has been successful. If you terminate or anything, it will show up here. And your scaling policies, the most interesting actions are shown here. You can add additional policies. As you said, you can have any combination of policy, not just on the CPU. You can keep on adding multiple policies here. And then here is the scheduled actions on the right hand side extreme. When you click on that, you can click on scheduled action. It will ask you what is the minimum capacity, what is the desired capacity, what is the max capacity, how often do you want it to happen, what time you want to run it. And remember that it is all in UTC time, so you need to calculate for your time zone or UTC time and do it appropriately. So morning 9 to 5 you can run some servers and shut down automatically by using this one, something like every day it will keep on running every day at the same time or something like that. So that is how you do a scheduled scaling, and you have other types of scaling, event-driven scaling using the scaling policies. So monitoring it should, if we have our healthy status count, all those things you should come up here as soon as our servers come online. There must be still checking things, initializing and all those things going on, so we don't see anything here. It might take a minute. We need to give some things to work. I mean, we need to give some time for things also to work. So, and what else is there? Instances, again, it is a quick dashboard, and you can see here when you're doing a health check, we spoke about two status health checks. One is in service and not equal to running. So any of them is failing, it will be marked as unhealthy here, and it will be automatically failing. Also, you can see here automatically my browser has picked up the change, and you can see here it says test page automatically picked up for one of the browser. One of the server is already online. So next server should also be online now. You can see here I just clicked on refresh button. Automatically our test page has come up. Looks like the S3 command did not execute, but that should not be a problem. It's just a configuration. We can do it at post boot also. The logic here is we started two servers, and automatically the two servers have spun up, and then those two servers are come online with the HTTP servers that we are seeing right now. So since our launch scaling event is configured for CPU, we might not be able to trigger the CPU of 80% workload. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to my instances and manually turn one down. That is, in other words, I'm going to turn off one instance, that is shut down or terminate one instance, and see whether auto scaling spins up another one. So I'm going to go to my EC2 dashboard and select one server and click on terminate. And the terminate action is going on. So meanwhile, auto scaling should have picked up the event, and then it will start triggering another instance. Let me just go to my auto scaling dashboard. So let me just go ahead and see here. I'm in the activity history of our auto scaling group, and you can see here the termination event has been successfully picked up and triggered here. So once the auto scaling picks up, it will start launching another instance to maintain the desired capacity at 2. That event will trigger anytime now. So I just refresh the screen, and you can see here there is one more instance that is getting to spin up, that is mentioned as not yet in service. It is coming up online. Meanwhile, if I go to my EC2 dashboard and refresh my screen by hitting the refresh button, I should be able to see one more instance in the pending state or running. As you can see here, there is one more server that is coming up online here in running state, and it is getting initialized. And I would expect the name also set up to the same tag. Let us see, once it finishes, let us see what is the tag. If I select on the server and copy this public IP address and put it on the chat window as well as on the screen, we should be able to see when it is completing the activity. Oh great, you can see there automatically the tag is also, if you can see my screen, you can see that the tag is also been automatically updated for the third server as well, and our web server configurations should kick in anytime. So this is the simplest way we can trigger auto scaling event and test it how auto scaling works. If you have any questions, I can take them now.